Hey everybody, this is Chris in the Ozarks. Just had to show you what is happening with our sweet potato slips. We've been growing those in the window garden over the winter, and now that it's spring we had taken them off the potato, tossed the potato away, and placed them in some containers. And we made these containers, they're just, I'll back up here, they're just simply milk jugs, water jugs, juice jugs. We cut the tops out but left the handle on so we could handle them better, so you can see right there. And then we folded over the edges so that they were not sharp and just stapled them down. And then we placed just regular old water out of the faucet into the containers. And then we placed our potato slips. Now in this particular case, I decided to leave a little part of the potato on there to give them extra energy. You don't have to do that when you buy potato slips from like a place that produces them and sells them. They'll send you maybe 6-8 inch piece of stalk and it won't have any potato on it or any roots or anything. May not even have any leaves on it, and it's dormant, so that's usually not a problem. But I've done that before, and I've always had good success buying it from people like taterman.com and other places like that. But you can see these have developed some really nice roots just lying here in the water, and so we're actually ready, I think, to go ahead and plant these out. So let me set up the camera for that so I won't have to use one hand to hold the camera so things won't be so shaky. And I'll be right back. Alright, as you can see I have 6 buckets here, and this is just a regular kind of potting mix. It has a little bit of soil mixed in it, give it a little bit more body, but it's basically peat, perlite, some compost, and a few amendments, a little bit of gypsum, a little bit of lime, a little bit of Epsom salts. That's pretty much the makeup of it. And as you can see, we also have these containers, which I've showed you before, and there's probably enough in here to do maybe twice this many buckets. So we'll just kind of see how many we end up with, and hopefully it'll all turn out, and then we'll begin planting here in just a moment. Alright, what I've done here is I've just kind of trimmed these up a little bit and laid them out here, and what I'm going to do is just kind of go past them a little bit here so you can kind of see. I think the roots will show up a lot better against the contrast of the black soil there, but I've just kind of laid these out as I'm going to plant them. And what I'll be doing is I'll just be planting basically 2 shoots on average to a bucket. And if you'll notice here, this one has quite a bit on it, and I'm just going to leave that intact and bury that by itself in its own bucket, and we'll see how that does. Also, you can see kind of there the rest of the 6 buckets, and on some of them, such as this one, there really wasn't any leaves to speak of that were green, so I just went ahead and trimmed those off. But over here, if I can swing around here, you'll see that some of these have quite a few leaves, and so the ones that had good leaf structures on them I left, and we'll just see how comparatively those grow as the season goes on. So that's specifically true here of the 3rd bucket from the left, so we'll just keep track of that and see how it goes. But let me go ahead and get these planted. So as you can see right here, we're just going to take these sweet potato and these sweet potato roots and just plant them down in here. Now, I'm going to bury them fairly deep. I want to even bury it a few notes down from where the roots actually came out. So I'm burying it up to right about there. That's really about all there is to it. You know, you don't have to space them perfectly. what's going to happen is, of course, that the potatoes are going to find their own space, and they will fill in that bucket to the best of their ability. So that's not really a problem. So let's go ahead and plant some more. I'll try to keep my shadow out of the way here so it doesn't block the view. But you can kind of see I'm going to bury this one down almost to where the division there is with the two stems. And like I said, this one's a big one, so I'm just going to bury it down there, and I'll probably get a few leaves here with that as well, but that's okay. And you can pack this down a little bit if you want in these buckets, but it's going to compact a little bit when we water it in, and we're going to water it in here pretty quick before we get done with this. And as far as spreading out the vines, I may come back with a little bit of a trellis. There we go. And what I'll do is I will go ahead and mulch this in with some somewhat composted straw. That'll release a little bit of timed nutrients, additional nutrients into the soil as it decomposes further, and it'll also help hold moisture in. You don't really have to water sweet potatoes very much for the most part because they are fairly dry crops, and you certainly don't want them to have soggy roots. These buckets all have a dozen or more half-inch drain holes drilled in the bottom of them, so they should drain quite well. And also, as you can see from the parts of the video, they're also elevated on some concrete that allows for extra drainage, make sure that the ground doesn't keep the pots from draining or the buckets from draining like they should. So there's our 6 planted buckets, and I'll be back in just a moment with the mulch in there, and we'll water them in, and then we'll look for some kind of a trellis system, and if I find something that I like, I'll be back to show you that as well. All right, back for one more look, and we have it completed. As you can see, we have a trellis going up behind. It's just a couple of sections of wire I had lying around. Not very big, but big enough for this purpose. And a couple of T-posts. I drove it between the buckets and the wall there so that I could put the wire between the wall and the T-post. Now I just got one single zip tie on each one to kind of hold it in place. Keep in mind there's not going to be any fruit weight or fruit load from these vines, since obviously the potatoes are growing in the ground, putting potatoes on in the buckets. Just needs to be something to keep the vines from spreading out into the pathway down here and being a nuisance. So they'll look kind of neat growing up the trellis lines. So we'll just kind of weave those around as they come along. And of course, in the buckets we have placed some straw, which has also some composted sheep and goat manure in it, so it'll help feed the soil a little bit as things go along. So let me just come in here a little closer, and you can kind of see at least a glimpse of what it's going to look like as it grows out. That one has the most leaves on it, so I guess it's the most representative of what you would expect it to look like as it climbs. But there you have it, our Carolina Red, oh so good, Carolina Red sweet potatoes. Started here in mid-April. So looking forward to eating some great potatoes, since the farmers market has pretty much run out of that particular advanced variety at this point. So anyway, till next time, happy gardening. Have a great day.